Thank you for tuning in to Thursday Thoughts. Today I want to cover wine preservation and talk to you about how consumers really look at this type of unit, wine preservation, as an investment. Because a lot of times we don't think about the fact that this wine unit holds 146 bottles of wine. And let's just say that the average person that purchases a wine unit like this spends $50 a bottle. Now that's pretty low, but if they spend $50 a bottle times 146 bottles, that's over $7,000 worth of wine stored inside this wine unit. Now that's a huge investment. So if you're putting in a huge investment, you would want a machine that did the best at preserving your wine. And we know there's 4 enemies of wine. There's humidity, temperature, light, and vibration. And those 4 enemies of wine really can wreak havoc on the wine, especially if you're trying to preserve it to its optimal, time in which you could drink it. For instance, like a Cabernet is between 8 and 10 years is the optimal time. Well, if you can't preserve it, it will never last that long to get to where you can drink it. So how does this work? Well, first of all, UV light protection in the window. So in the glass door there is UV light protection that prevents the light from coming in and damaging the wine. So we take care of the light with light preservation. Then we've got humidity. One of the exclusives of a Sub-Zero wine unit is that it has a wetter evaporator, which keeps the humidity level generally high inside the refrigerator, but not too high to peel the labels. Now, the reason why we have the humidity not so dry is because we don't want the corks to dry out. Because if a cork dries, it shrinks. And when it shrinks, that will allow air to come into the wine and taint the wine and make it go bad faster. So we want to keep that humidity level high enough. We also don't want to go to uncork the wine and have the cork brittle out, and then you're constantly having to clean the bits and pieces out of the wine. But on the other side, you don't want it to be too wet, because if a label peels off, that's kind of embarrassing to try to serve a $300 bottle of wine and the label's sitting next to it. So we've got light, we've got humidity, vibration. All of the motors and systems are in rubber grommets, as well as the glide rack system. When you get an opportunity, go ahead and glide in and out the Sub-Zero wine shelf, because one thing you'll notice is that it's a complete smooth glide all the way to full extension, so that you don't have any bumps or anywhere where you're creating vibration, and that vibration can really affect the tannins within inside the wine. And then the last one is temperature. Now, a lot of places claim to be a two-zone wine system, but a couple things that we do different is that we actually have 2 separate zones. So just like a normal refrigerator, we have a cavity for the top and we have a cavity for the bottom. It's not just separated by this control panel. There's actually 2 separate cavities, and then the control panel is pinched between them. So we hold this temperature at plus or minus a half a degree, and we hold the lower temperature at plus or minus a half a degree to set point. And then we have this separator in the glass that pushes up against the control panel to make sure that there's no air shared between the 2 environments, so that we are precisely keeping the temperature where it needs to be so that the wine lasts a long time. So you can see preserving an investment is a huge thing, and with Sub-Zero, you can preserve wine for predictably delicious results.